Hi, Bashar.
And to you, good day.
I'm seeing your messages and videos for some time now. I'm so excited to have this meeting with you.
We have deep appreciation for the co creation of this interaction with you as well.
I would hope if you could please help me understand a little more about the idea of physical experience related to the concept of being a projection of this consciousness.
Yes, well, we sort of just described all of that in the monologue.
Yes.
So the idea, again, is that there are vibrations, frequencies of energy within the soul, frequencies of light that cause patterns within the soul. Those patterns are focused by the soul in a way that projects those patterns into a kind of condensed focus point within the center of the soul, so to speak. And that projection of those patterns, that condensation of those energy patterns, creates a focal point in the soul that you call your physical personality. So it's projected that way. And because it is projected by those vibrations, those frequencies, then the physical personality perceives the idea of a reality around itself, which is made up of those frequencies. In a sense, it's almost like the physical personality seed or crystal at the center of the soul is seeing its reality projected on the inside surface of the sphere of the soul, as if that is the theater, that is the screen, 360 degrees in all direction, upon which the crystalline seed projects the idea of its consciousness, of its reality outside of itself, because what it's actually seeing is the, so to speak, inside of the sphere of the soul that it is. And that's where its holographic projection plays out, seemingly around itself, because the physical personality is concentrated at the center of the sphere that is the soul. Does that make sense? Does that answer your question?
It makes sense, yes, but the question is about I am perceiving this reality in are you perceiving my reality? You are perceiving your reality?
Yes. But
It's
we are agreeing to some degree to create something similar enough that we can talk about things as if we are sharing the same reality, even though we are creating our own reality. We're creating our own version of reality based on our connection and communications with each other, with everyone, to create a reality that is similar enough to the reality you're creating so that we can create what appears to be a shared reality, even though it is actually different realities.
the experience is everything in the same moment.
Yes. But you only
We are
experience what you're focused on.
yes.
So there are many aspects of what we are creating that are not visible yet, or may never be visible, because you may not need to create your version of that in order to experience it, because it may not be relevant to do so. But what you call the idea of the future are simply elements of the realities that we are creating with each other that are not visible yet, but they are there. So they become visible when it is relevant for them to become visible, because that's what you're now focused on. And from your linear space-time perspective, you call that becoming visible part the future.
Yes.
And the part that now goes invisible but is still there, you call the past. But all of it's there. It's just that it's different about what part of it becomes visible to you at any given moment in the present.
So what I experience now with you,
Yes,
from my point of view, my perspective, it's a projection
yes,
of my consciousness. You are perceiving the same, but in your point. of view?
I am perceiving something similar enough that we think it's the same. Yes.
Okay, that's one of my questions.
Yes, it's very similar to what you're experiencing electronically now in this particular exchange. In other words, you know that you're not actually seeing the physical body of the channel. You're seeing an image that has been electronically converted into images and sound that then open up on your computer so that you can see a representation of the channel. You're not actually seeing the channel's body directly, but you're interacting with it in a way that lets you know that there is such a being as the channel who is channeling a being like us, but you're not actually seeing the channel's body directly. You're seeing a
Yeah.
projection. So it's similar to
That's
that idea.
that's actually the same feeling, and like information, it's flowing through me. The same thing that I was feeling, it's what you just said. So
Yes.
it makes perfect sense. So thank you so much.
Yes, you are so welcome.
Is there a difference between an angelic or a spirit guide or an extraterrestrial
Well, yes.
being?
Yes, although many of us have similar qualities, and so sometimes it can be challenging to tell us apart. Because, as I said, we have many of the qualities of spirit, and so vibrationally, you may still think you're speaking to a spirit, even if you're speaking to an extraterrestrial, or vice versa. You may be speaking to an extraterrestrial that you think is a spirit. You may be talking to a spirit that you think is an extraterrestrial, because sometimes it's challenging to tell us apart. Nevertheless, yes, there is a difference between the idea of an angelic being that has never been physical, a spirit guide which may have been physical in its experience, or members of your soul family that may choose to have been physical and taking turns playing different parts for you in different lives, so to speak. So, spirit guides can also be someone who has been part of your soul family or doesn't have to be. It can be someone who, in a sense, is being trained as a spirit guide, and based on their level of skill and their particular choices of what they would like to do, they may be, so to speak, assigned to different people to help them grow as a spirit guide, to learn how to communicate and help people who have chosen to have physical experiences. So, yes, there are differences in the way that the beings may experience themselves in different dimensions and different realms, but ultimately they can sort of function in a similar way.
Okay, thank you so much.
Yes.
I, I don't know if now I'm allowed to ask a last question.
Well, you just asked a question, so I suppose you can ask another one.
Um, it's difficult to me to imagine extraterrestrials since I was a child, specifically the what we call here the grays.
Yes, well, they're not truly extraterrestrials in the classic sense. They are mutated humans from a parallel version of Earth.
Yes, this idea or concept, although I found it fascinating, and it really starts piquing the curiosity of my experience, but it's also terrifying to me. I
Why?
can understand why.
Well, probably because you've had those experiences, you've had those encounters, and as we have explained, the idea of beings that are operating on a different frequency, whether it's higher or simply representative of a different reality, can feel to your physical mind something similar to the idea of the spirit realm vibration, and to the physical mind when it's exposed to a vibration of another dimension, another reality, or a spirit realm, may react to that frequency as if it is dying, because that's what that frequency represents to the physical mind. And so the limbic brain will react as a fight or flight survival mode suddenly, because being exposed to that energy may make it feel like it's about to die, even though it may not actually be about to die. It may feel like it's about to die by being exposed to that energy. And that's where the fear reaction comes up. It's a survival mode reaction of the limbic system in the physical mind.
Thank you so much.
Yes. There is nothing to be afraid of, but we understand that your body may react that way.
Yes. That concept also makes very, very perfect sense to me.
Hi, Bashar. I just watched an excellent lecture of yours about letting things in and letting go of the things that are not meant for us. I'm just wondering, regarding things that are not meant for us, why do we want them so badly? Such as the wrong person in a relationship. Just, and asking to let go of the desire so much and it just not going away. Can you help me understand why we so badly are drawn to things that are actually not a good match for us, or not a match with our frequency and vibration? Thank you so much.
They're in your life for a reason, but not necessarily the reasons you think. And it's the insistence and expectation in your belief system about why you think those people should be in your life that's getting in the way, instead of allowing them to be there for the reasons that actually serve you. Because there are no accidents, and they're in your life for a reason, but they're in their life to teach you lessons. And one of the lessons is to not impose a societal assumption or structure on what a relationship is just because of the strength of the attraction. It's about the idea of what are you learning from that relationship that allows you to become more of who you are and choose the things that you really prefer vibrationally in your life, instead of just insisting that this thing that has been attracted is supposed to serve a certain purpose, instead of just simply learning the lesson that it may be showing you that you need to let it go in order to attract something else that would actually be more relevant for you. So it all serves a purpose, but the question is, are you learning the lessons from what that relationship is showing you, or are you continuing to...
Ilya Ovna Bashar.
Good day, good day.
Thank you for being the loving reflection that you are, by the way.
It is our passion and our pleasure.
I recently came to have some validation that I have a connection to the hybrid program,
All right.
and I've made agreements with certain mantis beings. There was a symbol that came through about phoning home, and I was hoping you could add some light to this.
Phoning home.
Yes.
All right. Well, first and foremost, when you are dealing with the mantis beings, with the grays, with the hybridization program, you are usually experiencing a shift in your energy vibration that is closer to the idea of spirit. And spirit represents your true home. So it could simply be your interpretation of realizing that you were very close to home, vibrationally speaking, anytime you had any of those encounters.
Okay. Did I make a agreement to do any channeling for one of these beings?
Do you mean with one of those beings, channeling one of them?
Yes.
It is a probability that you can pursue if you wish.
Could you give me a name or permission slip to follow that pathway?
Well, are you first of all talking about being excited about vocal channeling or automatic writing or doing some kind of readings for people or divination systems? What style of channeling? Because remember, anyone that is doing what they love to do is in the channeling state. They can decide how they wish to express it. That's up to them. So what form of channeling are you most passionate about exploring?
I think I'm still trying to decide that, but right now I'm leaning towards the vocal side.
All right. Well, are you willing to gather people around you who are asking questions so that they can pull the information through you?
Yes, absolutely.
All right. Well, then we would suggest that you do that. But you have to get out of your own way. You have to not care what comes through. It has to be all right if you get nothing at all. You can't be worried about looking strange or silly. You have to allow the information to come through by having people ask questions that pulls the information through you into them, so that you can just be the conduit and the vessel, and you don't have to think about what you're getting. So it's a relaxed state of just allowance of whatever happens to happen, knowing that at that moment, even though you will get better with practice, that whatever happens in the moment is what needs to happen to give you the opportunity to practice and to feel out how the information comes through you and what your particular style is all about. So if you're willing to start that way, then gather some people who are willing to help you practice by asking questions that they would really like to know the answers to, and see what happens.
Okay.
All right?
So further on that, during the same time when I got the symbol, I also got information about following patterns of cubes. And you mentioned something about how a cube symbolically is kind of grounding into physical reality. Is there any
Yes.
information you have about how that might connect to block DNA?
How it might connect to block DNA?
Yes.
Why do you think that the cubes block DNA?
Not block as in do not allow to proceed forward, but block is in term of a cube as a shape, I guess.
All right. Well, it's simply, again, symbolic of the idea of physical reality in a grounded sense. That's why people instinctively refer to your planet as the four corners of the world. They think of it in a cubic form because that represents the idea of a very solid, stable, grounded shape. It's symbolic in that sense of a full experience in physical reality. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I think so. Separate question. So I've recently come across some information about uh, Tigetans. Is there anything you can add to the conversation about that at this time?
We are not allowed to discuss that at this time through this particular terminal.
Okay. Separate question then. So nature of physics. So when we transition and our universe essentially turns into spirit and less crystallized in physical reality, what happens to that physical reality that was our universe?
It remains within your soul. It remains within the oversoul. It becomes information that allows the soul to grow and make decisions about what it would like to do next. It's rendered into information, basically.
Okay. So concepts such as life insurance is useful for those who have perception agreements with us who also agree to that. But in terms of our physical reality, that's becomes information.
Yes, it all turns into information that the soul can use to decide what lessons to have learned from it, from the experience, how it all factors into what the soul will decide to do next for its personal growth.
Okay. If because we are shifting realities, one of the things I wish to do is honor all the life that I encounter. So when I'm in a situation for like weeding a garden, I
Yes.
don't want to harm those second density life forms, but I recognize that I shift to an earth where they're already different, but still I express the action of, well, I caused harm in the sense of my continuity. Can you help me address that perspective?
Well, you must understand the idea that in nature, certain things sometimes do go through a cycle where they do disintegrate in order to reform. So if you do it out of respect, out of love, and fall into a natural flow of your relationship and your connection to nature, then you will find ways to do that that actually are in keeping and in alignment with the natural cycles of nature for things to be apparently destroyed so they can be recreated. It's what you simply refer to as the cycle of physical reality, the cycle of life.
Okay, that makes sense. Yeah.
All right.
And then I guess lastly, is there any other information that is open to coming through at this time?
When you start practicing the idea of channeling, make sure you allow yourself to adapt and to change in whatever way, shape, or form it seems natural for you to do so. Do not become rigid in the way that you think it has to present itself. You may at first start with your own higher mind, bringing that through so you can gain familiarity with what that feels like. And then you may start being aware of connections that you may have to other beings, like the mantis, where you then can, with further practice, bring through information from beings on that level as well.
Excellent. Thank you, Bashar. Ilya Ave.
You're welcome. Ave.